I'm talking today to John Lichter from Tree Associates Professional Consulting Arborists, serving the Sacramento and San Francisco Bay areas of Northern California. John, who contacts you after a tree or branches fall, and why?
I get called by homeowners, insurance companies, attorneys, and others when trees either topple or lose limbs. They often want to know why the tree fell, and also if the tree may be hazardous after it's lost a limb or perhaps lost a trunk, and then what can be done to decrease the risk that that tree poses if it's still there after it's fallen.
John, why do trees fall or lose their limbs?
Well, there are three major factors that come into play when this occurs. One is the characteristics of the tree, the other is weather, and the other are site conditions around the tree.
What kind of weather conditions can cause a tree to fall?
The biggest impact is from the wind, and especially if the wind is coming from an unusual direction. Also, the rain can lead to saturated soils, which can increase the likelihood of a tree toppling. And in some cases, heavy snow loads on limbs can increase the likelihood of those limbs breaking.
What tree conditions or defects make a tree more likely to fall or lose branches?
There are numerous defects or tree characteristics that can influence whether or not a tree fails. The architecture of the top of the tree, including whether or not the tree has a lean or if limbs are excessively long, heavy, or exposed, or if those limbs have a poor attachment. Also, the architecture of the root system, if it's well distributed in the soil, that can influence likelihood of the tree toppling. Whether or not there are cracks in the trunk or limbs is important. The presence of dead wood is certainly a big factor, as dead wood often is lost from a tree, and there are numerous other defects that can influence the likelihood of failure.
How do conditions in the surrounding landscape affect the probability of a tree falling?
They affect it greatly. If a tree is all of a sudden exposed to the elements to a greater degree because of the loss of a tree or a tree being removed or trees being removed, this can increase the exposure of the tree to the wind, which can put more strain on the structure of the tree. Also, if there's a history of construction near the tree which has included grading or trenching, this could have damaged the root system, which would possibly affect the stability of the roots and the tree's anchorage in the soil. Thirdly, if the soil is either limited in terms of its extent, or if the soil is fairly shallow or saturated, this can also increase the likelihood of the tree uprooting.
If a portion of the tree remains after the failure, what risk does the tree pose?
This will depend on the nature of the failure. If in some cases the tree would need to be removed after the initial failure because it poses too high a risk. In other cases, the tree would need to be pruned to decrease the risk and increase the safety to people and property. In other cases, there may be no tree work necessary
What services do you provide to your clients?
I typically prepare reports that summarize my findings, and in some cases I defend these reports in court. I also provide referrals to tree services to do tree work if that's necessary.